Let me call to my racing expert.
You're shit pilot. Yes, you're shit.
No, this is the wrong one.
Some of these fast pilots, they fly 6S, they fly 5S. I got 1S. Freestyle sucks. DJI is for wieners.
What the f? Let me call to my grease expert.
If you think it's grease that's gonna make you faster, there's no better grease out there than some made from real Texas barbecue.
You gonna drink it?
If it makes me faster. Okay, where's my radio?
If you want your quad fly really fast, first, you have to throw your quad really hard. I'll show you right now. Did you see? That quad wiggle really fast.
So this is my mouse cursor, and this is where we should try to click. It's not moving, guys. Like, I'm trying really hard. You see, it's not. Oh, it moved a little bit, but let me call my motivation expert.
Hello, Mr. Nice Success Advisors.
What if I try, but I just cannot?
Well, you just need to try harder. Yep, just try harder. You just need to try harder.
Let's try again. Hey, Neil?
Hello?
I tried very hard, I still cannot do it.
Either you try harder, or you just quit like a little pussy. The decision you make is going to say a lot about you as a person. Make the right one. Little pussy.
RPM filters, you're about to get activated. For real. What's happening? I guess it's impossible. But first things first, let me call to the biggest black box expert ever.
That's kind of interesting. Oh, this should be good. Hey, what's up, Lamone?
Please tell us everything about black box.
All right, hold on a second. You get that on your phone? All right, cool. Yeah, so that's a box. And, you know, it's a black box because it's kind of black inside. So, yeah, it's just that simple.
All right, guys, looks like we are live. Welcome everyone to FPV Spill the Tea number 2. And this live stream will be a little bit different. First of all, we have a secret guest, and also we're doing it online so that like you guys don't have like we don't make you suffer hearing our echoes from our microphones. And of course, we have our regular guest, Mr. Nice. Our regular expert, and we have a secret guest today. Look at him, very secret guest. So he is a frame designer. He is also a race organizer. He is also Heart of America team captain, and also a father of Freedom Spec, and also just a father. So who do you think is that? This is famous YouTube star, also famous YouTube star, Mr. Sean Ames.
Hey, it's me. I was like, what? You confused me. I wasn't sure who you were talking about for a minute.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, yeah, I guess I've done some of that poorly.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Johnny 5 couldn't join us, but, you know, in these days, it's pretty easy to find another famous YouTube star, and yeah, we're glad to have Sean Ames, and figured it also would be fun to have different guests time to time. Yeah, so that's fun. Mr. Shames, how would you introduce yourself? Because you're like a big figure in drone racing, right?
Yeah, the best way to figure it out is Yvonne found out Johnny 5 wasn't going to be there, so he just went to his favorite website, wish.com, typed in Johnny 5, and it rang my phone number. So here I am. No, I do a lot of things poorly. I've been doing it a long time, and I'm obsessed with this hobby, this sport, and I don't know. Probably the thing that's most notable is Freedom Spec and putting on those events. Started Heart of America as a team. I don't know, man. I'm at a loss, but I'm definitely a shit pilot, so stoked to be.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, Mr. Neil is definitely a fan of you, so right, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. Aww. Yeah, no, Sean's an awesome guy. Happy to have you here. You've really done a lot for the sport and the community, and like it's cool. And you also have an opinion often. If I'm looking for somebody with an opinion, I'm always looking for Sean because he's got one. So like then we're here to spill the tea. So then you're a pretty appropriate guest for to have with us as well.
Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah, and besides all of that I just said. Mr. Sean is also a father of like 2 girls, right? And and it looks like one of your daughters, she started being interested in FPV racing. How did you make this happen?
Oh, it's a crazy story. Like that all, when I started flying, I started pushing it on them. I started with poorly flying RC planes, a flight test, like foamy planes. And the girls would like help me paint them and help me fly them. And it was a big mess. And we just broke a bunch of stuff. And then when I started doing FPV, they flew some tiny whoops. And on and off through the past, I guess 6 years now, they've kind of taken it up and flown here and there. The 2 of them are pretty competitive with one another. And they tend to not be into it at the same time. So like 2 years ago, I guess last season and the season before, Maddie flew a little bit. She did some GQs with me. And then this last year, Callie kind of started getting back into it. And she's like, she told me she wanted to go to IO. And like, I like taking the girls to races and I want to encourage that. But when she said she wanted to go to IO, I kind of had to like get like stern dad moment with her and say, hey, like, I want to take you to IO, but like, I'm not going to take you to IO if you're just going to go and like crash and do poorly and be upset. Like, if you want to go to IO, we kind of laid out a roadmap, and she had some like quotas and targets to hit, and she started hitting them. And honestly, this year she's comically just as obsessed with drone racing as I am, and it's super funny. But we're having a good time. So yeah, Callie's doing it this year, rocking the GQs with me, and she'll be at a lot of events this summer. With her old man. So
that's really cool. I like seeing you guys like you send to our chat like that you came home the other day and Callie was out there practicing when you drove home, and like I thought that was so cool to see. And like I'm really proud to see her like getting into it and like really getting the bug. And you're right, like you definitely like go after it and like want to do it well, and it's cool to see that like that's in them genes,
I guess so.
Like what's your like I know like you guys practice a lot in DRL simulator. Like what's your like normal position in DRL simulator? How she ranks?
I didn't get to see how tonight's tournament finished, but I know she finished 8th in like 3 tournaments in a row the other night.
And how many pilots total there?
20 or 30, 40, something like that.
Nice.
So,
and what about leaderboards? I know like you're grinding leaderboards a lot.
Yeah, I think she's up in like the teens and 20s on a lot of them, but I mean those leaderboards on DRL are super toxic. So
that's solid.
She's doing great. The big we gave her the quota of 5 hours a week on the DRL sim, and she's doing that now, and she's flying. She's trying to get me to fly DCL now too. She's like, Dad, the maps look so cool on DCL. I'm like,
So you're not allowing her to fly more, or you're forcing her to fly 5?
She had to fly at least 5 hours. Yeah,
all right.
She's just blowing that out of the water. We
and that was part of her to go to IO quota, right? Because we didn't talk about so you said you set a roadmap. Can we so what was the roadmap? So Callie, if you're going to go to IO, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, she had to fly at least 5 hours a week in the sim, and then she had to go to at least 5 other races with me prior to IO, which that one was pretty loose. I kind of felt like if she did the 5 hours, drone racers, we know that there's this hump you can get over with the sim, that it goes from being work to something that, and I wouldn't even say it's enjoyable, but it's addictive. So I kind of felt like if she was doing that 5 hours a week thing, she would get that bug of wanting to get better at it. And that definitely kind of took hold.
So I just figured a random spicy question to you about, because we have a bunch of spicy questions, guys. In case you didn't know, this is sort of a format. You guys send, prior to the event, spicy questions. But these days, most of the spicy questions are being prepared by us and our friends. But this wasn't planned. So your daughter is getting pretty addicted with drone racing, which I think is awesome. But what do you think, which is better, if she's addicted with drone racing, or maybe maybe you teach her day trading that, because it looks like I don't know, date or something like this, programming, right? Could be more hobbies,
I mean, to get serious with you, I think that she's a great student, super smart kid and stuff. It might be different. I would actually say if she wasn't a great student, to me, the neat thing about having a hobby like drone racing and getting over that hump to where you've got this desire to get better at something, I think that's a really good thing to realize that you're capable of, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like her seeing drone racing and not being very good at it, she was kind of really bad at it, and then putting in a bunch of work and getting better at it and seeing herself improve, I think that that's a really tangible skill that could, feed into maybe other more profitable interests in the future of day trading or whatever. So not to get unspicy with your question, but the kids they're into a lot of other things. They're kind of doing golf now, and so that's something that Christy's interested in, my wife, that she does with them. They play music. So, I mean, they do a lot of different things, but she would probably be way better off to put the time she's putting into drone racing into, learning how to code or write software or graphic design or something different. But I think it's a really, I think the skill of really going after something that's something that I want to make sure that I instill into my kids. I think that's important. So
I'm also thinking that it could be also a smart move, because so far, if you're a drone racer, freestyler, or whatever, right, it's just matter of 5 years before, but now is drone racers can get real job, right? We see engineer, we see cinematic pilots, which is Neil right here sitting, doing live streams, Vancouver flying for a big filming company and probably getting billions of dollars, right? I don't know. So this is cool, and I think and I think in future maybe there will be more drone work to do. So maybe that's because maybe day trading will be not a thing anymore in 5 years, right? Nobody will be.
AI is going to take over day trading. For
sure.
Oh yeah.
And and it looks like AI is not moving very fast in drones. I mean, they can do stuff in a closed room with a bunch of sensors, but remove all these sensors, and then you need a human brain to process all this stuff. So yeah. And so the next spicy question is, I want to address it to Mr. Shames, is who do you think will be the fastest female pilot at IO?
Oh man, I'm probably the only male drone pilot who's thought a lot about this, I guess. With Callie. I mean, she's gotten a lot better. She's been doing these GQs. I think Yvonne has some, clips if you want to throw one up of
let's do that.
She's improving a lot. I know that she feels a certain connection with the other female pilots that fly. I know she chats with like Pie Fly online and stuff.
I think I saw her in the chat.
She's in the chat now.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, hey, Pie Fly.
Awesome to have you here, Pie. You're
yeah.
and she's definitely like, I think the known female pilot to beat this season. I feel without a doubt, she's been putting in work for several years. She's been on the scene and like showing up at races and getting better every time I see her. And so it's really cool, really more than anything to just know that maybe there's going to be a race there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
super
fun.
Is there like a just female race at IO? I think
I saw Chris Thomas in the chat. He's the guy that could make that happen. So
yeah. Is it Chris Thomas or Chris Thompson?
Maybe both.
Or both.
I see officially it does say Chris Thomas in the chat. I don't know. You know, like, so that may be who we have here with us. This Thompson guy, he's all over the place.
Yeah. So right here you guys see Kali. This is Shame's daughter flying GQ track. And I think, like, how long she been flying?
I mean, that's a rough question because she really started with when I started, right? But like, she's been flying for real for about 6 months now.
I mean, so like
she's making a lot of progress.
That's very solid. I think.
Gate there and went back for it. That's like good awareness.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be real though, like Pie Fly is definitely the pilot to beat. Like I kind of, look for Callie, like what's it going to take for her to be a top female pilot? And I looked at, I think Pie Fly put up a 38 on the GQ last year, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
In my estimations, I think this year's GQ is probably going to average out to be about 5 seconds longer than last year's GQ. So let's say Pie Fly had a 39. Callie's currently sitting with a 46. So, she's up there. There's also a female pilot that did the GQ in California. I butcher her name, so I might not say it, but it's like LeBebe or something like that.
LeBebe.
Yes. I'm so sorry. LeBebe.
No worries.
I'm not sure if I've met her, but she put up a 45 on the GQ at Leviathan's GQ. So, she's definitely a pilot that's out there going fast too. So, we joke around though, like Callie's been improving so much that like if she's on the same trajectory, then everyone better look out at IO.
Yeah, that's
she might not be going after just the girls.
Right?
Does she get nervous? Does she get nervous at real racing?
Oh yeah, she gets nervous for sure. She wants to get a sticker to put on her goggles that says "not crying" because we've got a joke like FPV races are really cool because if she like gets upset, then she can like just put her goggles down and act like she's spectating. And cry in the goggles. It's like a little joke that we have in the family.
That's awesome. Well, good luck to
Pie Fly's saying she's going to the GQ next weekend, so we'll see. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, good luck to all the female pilots. Right, we're excited to see all of them. And Pie Fly, like she has a target on her back now, right? Like that's a tough place to be at, right?
That's
and so does Sean. I think we alluded that, like, but that definitely, on Callie's list of pilots to beat is no doubt
for sure.
Yeah. So I see CT in the chat says, like, who gets more nervous when Callie flies, Callie or Shames?
Oh, me, yeah.
Yeah,
because it's like I gotta make sure that she can like fly in the next heat, like when she breaks this drone, like it's becoming expensive.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, guys.
Yeah.
I think that was a good introduction of Mr. Shames, father of Freedom Spec, famous YouTube star, and all the other regalies. Is it a word? I don't know. Yeah. All right, so the next topic is like a quick 3 topics about like some hardware I wanted to discuss. So first of all, maybe you remember like a week ago, like maybe a month ago. So ORQA and Ivan from ORQA, he shared on Facebook group like this post. Let me show it. He shared this one. Does it show? Yeah. Ooh. And like these are like these are like new ORQA goggles.
Oh.
So he shared this post, but now I cannot find this post anymore. And I know some people get gassed up about these new ORQA goggles that they're coming.
They
look
totally different. That's like a whole other thing.
I agree. So apparently I've talked to Mr. Vladka, and he said that unfortunately these goggles are not for FPV pilots. They are for only enterprise. So yeah, Mr. Cole, if you're watching live stream, you're probably not gonna get these goggles unless you're enterprise, unless you go to like police or like fire department. Yeah, then so that's and they are analog goggles. And Mr. Vlatka said that pilots are not interested in analog goggles anymore, like FPV pilots, like hobby. What do you think about that, Neil?
About?
Like he said that.
Yeah. That's crazy to me, but yeah, I'm definitely still very interested in analog goggles, but I'm old school, maybe.
Like, would you buy these goggles though? Like, they're like
well, I mean, I already have a very nice set of ORQA goggles, so like.
But if these are like better screens, and like there is no distortion in the screen, and like more comfortable seat, would you pay $500 to buy these goggles? Call in the chat. Look at that.
Yeah, I would really want to be able to check them out, but I'm interested in improvements in my gear all the time for sure.
Yeah. And I think someone said that they also have like rapid fire integrated inside. That's
dope.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, we're not gonna get them. So
yeah, look in the chat. Joey Whitaker says analog for life. I'm there with you, man.
Neil, I would love to see a ORQA or Immersion RC hybrid HDZero board.
Yeah, I'd be into seeing that. That would make me more interested in flying HDZero if I could have a Ghost hybrid HDZero board.
Like more so than like, being an analog purist, it's that I don't want to get rid of the ease that we have with a hybrid board. Like that's nice,
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you don't want to have to take a step backwards.
Right.
And I feel like, and at least in ease of use and like quality of life.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's move to, like, we got a little bit of drama about HDZero too, but it's gonna come a little bit later. So the next little topic, and I'm curious to hear what Sean says about this. Ooh. So apparently HQ released the motors that look, I don't know, what do you think? Do they look similar to 533 motors or they don't? Like, do you think that's appropriate? Like,
yeah, good question. Like, I mean, a motor is kind of a motor, right? I mean, it's like teal is definitely a 533 thing,
and like the little
they look
thing.
Enough different. Yeah. I mean, like I don't know, and I don't know enough about the motor. Like, if it's, I might feel different if I found out it's a white brand or what they call it, white label version of the same motor or something that I could feel a lot different about. But yeah, just thinking, hey, apparently the market really likes teal. Let's make a teal, accented motor. I don't know. I'm not all that bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
It's cool for HQ to offer a motor.
Yeah. I think they looked like from my first look, they were like, oh yeah, they're like exactly the same motors. But now when I look closer, they're like pretty kind of different. They look similar, but they're different. And yeah, so I'm not sure. Like, maybe I shouldn't brought it here. It's not that much drama. What do you think, Neil?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, it's definitely close. Nobody owns the color teal, like, so, like, that's, I don't know, but like, it's close. But in some ways, maybe it's just like flattery, like, good job, like, unknown subject saying like a motor's a motor, like maybe it's just a rebrand. Yeah. We got Omar checking in, like trying to buy. He's buying Yvonne a beer, so we appreciate that very much, Omar.
Yeah. Like maybe there's beer for you. Maybe there's beer for you.
Well, I think it's for you. The first beer's got to be for you every time.
All right, I'll take it. Take it. Thank you, Omar, for $5 super chat. So the next quick topic we have, it's also a little bit of drama, is AT32 flight controllers. And let me share. I think it's here. See my screen? Yeah. So apparently this new AT32 like chip that's supposed to like can replace our regular F4, F7 chips. And the first little drama is that like Oscar Leung and other guy shared like this article, and they're saying that these chips are faster than F7, which is not true. And I think they already corrected this information. So these chips are not faster than F7, but they are faster than F4, and they're supposed to be cheaper, which like I'm not sure, are they cheaper or not? So that's kind of first drama. So like they got it wrong, and a lot of people were like, hey, like they're faster, and like no, they're not faster. Maybe they will be fast enough for 8K, Yeah, but I think this particular board, it's funny that they say it's faster, but it's also only BMI gyroscope, which is 3K PID loop only, so it doesn't matter how fast you chip here. Yeah, and
yeah, we can run 20K, but
yeah, and the second sort of a drama about this is that the first Betaflight version that you can run this board and this chip is basically a fork of Betaflight. And like forking Betaflight is fine, but that fork was made by a guy who got a little bit of beef, with Betaflight developers. He didn't like that they changed a BMI behavior. And so he made this fork of Betaflight, didn't want to contribute to original Betaflight, or he wasn't allowed. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, so what do you think about that, Neil? Like forking Betaflight and I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like you're the guy that has a way bigger opinion about, stuff like that than me. I'm just a pilot. But I think it's funny, if you're going to bring a product, you need to understand what your product is. And I understand marketing and wanting to show the features, advantages, and benefits of your product over another, but you need to be coming with exact facts if you're going to do that. So yeah, I guess shame on them a bit for that, or maybe not, just that's just sloppy. I'll say maybe not shame on them, but that's sloppy.
But also the good news that I think that Betaflight 4.5 will support these chips. Like some of the clever guys in Betaflight already working on that. I don't know the names. I'm sorry, but big thanks to these guys. So
but if it's I've still have a long range quad that runs on F4 stuff, and they fly great. So if it runs better than an F4 and it's cheaper, stuff is so expensive these days. And, with whatever the chip shortage may be or may not be, if we have more chips that are usable that we can fly that maybe are cheaper or still work and we're not going to be running out of equipment, then I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I just don't really care on this one. I'm like, whatever.
That's Mr. Sean educated opinion.
I mean, if it's like the difference between a $50 flight controller and a $20 flight controller, then I might care, but ultimately if it's somewhere between an F4 and an F7, yay. Nice. You made an inferior flight controller. Way to go. To me, it's not worth saving $2, right? I'd rather buy an F7.
Yeah. If that's the difference.
But that's maybe where the drama's at, is they were, acting as if it were better than an F7. And that kind of thing. But yeah.
It's nerd hardware drama.
Yeah.
Can we look at the chat? There's some spiciness.
There is. And I think we can pick it up with our next comment if we're moving on to the. But I like it a lot. What do you want to highlight there, Sean?
Well, I'm seeing Amari and Yasim kind of shitting on HDZero a bit. Ask. And I mean, full disclosure, I'm actually I get a discount with immersion, with Ghost Gear.
Yeah.
So I do have a bias in that direction.
Sure.
Neither company sponsored Freedom Spec this year, HDZero or ORQA. So I feel like I have a little bit of freedom. Maybe that's why I was softballing with HQ a little bit. I don't know, but on that one, I mean, I hear a lot of people that don't get free stuff, and then also people that have the opportunity to fly everything. I think there is something to the HDZero 90 hertz stuff. I don't think you would ever want to fly it indoors. But I mean, I'm really curious about it. I don't want to give up the I'm aggravated because I think it's probably better for most 5-inch flying. It's probably better, but I don't want to give up the ease of use, to get that advantage. But I think there's probably an advantage there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other topic than exactly what they're talking about. I mean, that may be right. I guess they're saying, and we covered it a little bit in our last live stream, but I'll go back to it because I think it was a good point to make. So Amari says, I want to ask every one of the fast guys rocking HDZero stuff what they paid for their gear.
Oh yeah,
and then Yasim down to back it up. I just want to get it right. Yeah, he says no way Carl has sold more than he's given away. I think that's probably not true. I bet that Carl has sold way more than he's given away.
Yeah,
but I would fair to say that those guys, the top pilots, if you like look at the finals at the Ice Storm, let's say, and 3 of those 4 guys were running HDZero in that finals. I don't think those guys paid for their gear, or my official opinion is I don't think those guys should have paid for their gear. Like, they are at a tier of pilot, kind of like you said, that gets to fly everything. Like, you reach a certain level where you should, in my opinion, be able to fly top tier gear from companies without having to pay for it, because those companies with a good business mind should be wanting top tier pilots like that using their gear, because whether you like it or not, people like listen to what pilots who are, say, better than them, what their opinion is about their gear, and follow it.
Yeah, especially when it's like about, you know, faster update rates on the video, you know, faster FPS. Like that's where people are especially thinking for fast racers.
You know, I was in a private chat, but literally today at 6:36 p.m., I'm not going to drop his name, but someone, or their name, I won't even say it's a guy. No. One of the top drone racers in the world today said, and I quote, "Also, HDZero 90 hertz is low-key cheating." He told another pilot who's like an analog holdout, one of the fast boys, "You are drunk if you don't change." Like, and that's someone that I know, you know, hasn't taken, you know, free HDZero gear yet. You know, like, they tried it like legitimately for the first time today, and that was their comment. You know, so I mean, I tend to believe that stuff. And then also the other thing that was really telling to me was how bad it was at Ice Storm, and MiChan switched over to trying to fly analog, and he like couldn't. It was just like too much, you know, like, so they were willing to put up with the shit reception because the refresh rate was that much better, you know.
I mean, you know, we chase refresh rate in gaming for sure, you know, and like we all at least believe that that's something. And you know, there's math to prove that it's something. So they say. That's just all above my head. I just have to believe it.
Yeah.
So you know, I think there's something there for sure.
I think it also like because MiChan switched back, like, because I have like, you know, both HDZero and analog, and like when I switch from analog to HDZero, I'm like, all right, that's a little bit faster, a little bit better picture. It's not super impressive, but when I go back from HDZero to analog, I'm like, oh, this is garbage, you know, and I need like 2-3 packs to get used to analog again, and then it again feels like home. So I understand when MiChan switched back from HDZero to analog at Ice Race, he didn't like it at all. But if he would spend like 2-3 packs on analog, he would be good, of course. But we didn't have that opportunity there, you know, it's just like limited amount of packs there.
Well, and Amari kind of follows up with a point that maybe we could bring up number 9 on your list. He says that he's speculating based on the sheer amount of HDZero goggles he's seen on Marketplace. And I wonder if that's not related to number 9 on the spicy questions list.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, yeah, while we're talking about HDZero, yeah, so the spicy question is HDZero plus analog fixed, question mark, or not? And so, like, I have let me bring my scene. I have like a huge, I have like a huge interest of making HDZero goggles work with analog as good as it works with other analog goggles, you know. And Carl brought this fancy deinterlacing, which is obviously a little bit better picture, and I'm enjoying that. But I'm not enjoying the fact that it also like doesn't handle poor signal as good as other analog goggles do. And because we're like racing, we're flying with 8 pilots up. At IO, we're gonna be flying with like, you know, 16 pilots up, like 8 pilots on the other field. And yeah, I'm just scared that it's just not good. And Carl recently made a fix, like an attempt to fix for the current situation with HDZero and analog, and I think it's not fixed. Like a lot of people say it's good enough, and I think it's just not good enough. Let me bring to the screen what I mean. Where's my screen monitor? So this is just like a little clip that I recorded at night spot. On the left, you can see HDZero. On the right, you can see ORQA goggles. There are like different flights, but it's the same rapid fire receiver, mode 1, same antennas, but different flight, but the same day. So you can see HDZero is a little bit brighter, and that's fine. I think that's an easy fix. I think they're gonna fix it, right? So, but if we move to like a place with a little bit weird signal, then you can see on the left, like boom, and like the screen is just like, it scared the hell out of me because you see up, and then I found this weird spot when it's like at this spot, ORQA goggles just got a little bit of interference, but HDZero goggles just constantly getting this. And this is even without other pilots flying with me, you know what I mean? So, and yeah, I honestly, as much as I would love to say that this is fixed, I think, in my opinion, this is not fixed yet, at least for me. Like, if I have to travel like to Iowa and choose the goggles, like ORQA or HDZero, I will have to choose ORQA at this point, because I cannot trust, you know, this one. Like, this is not so nice. Yeah,
that's pretty bad. And I've seen some of the other videos that you trying back and forth and talking about it, and like, I really think, I don't know, well, I guess we're spilling the tea here. I feel like there are some testers, some people get the opportunity to test a product, and maybe they get get to be in a special group chat, or maybe they get a special discount on the product, and then they get to be like in the beta group and they test it, and then they're like, oh yeah, it's awesome, this is so awesome, I love it, right? And then like, and that's great, but like, we really need to be working hard to test this stuff and trying to break it. Like, the point of being in a beta group is that you are trying to break it, and you want to see where it breaks so that it can be fixed. And if people are only flying around their yard, or only flying, you know, like in an open field by themselves, and not really trying to find where there's a problem and trying to break it, then maybe they're just really not, like, they're just not trying hard enough, I guess. And it is really like, I see you like being frustrated with where it's at, and like, not that you're trying to break it, like, that's a normal place for us to fly. Yeah. And like, we fly at the night spot every week, and that's not a weird line. We fly that line all the time, and like, it just doesn't work there. And like, that sucks. So like, it ain't fixed.
Yeah. What do you think,
that's still a problem.
Yeah. As that's pretty sad for me, though, because I was like, the reason I bought HDZero goggles because, well, initially I wanted to switch to HDZero eventually, like a full HDZero, like HD quads. But I was planning to do it gradually while having better analog picture. That was exciting for me. But now, yeah, I kind of can't, and that's a little bit sad. I'm like, all hopes for Carl. He's, I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but
right. So Amari's saying, though, and this works. So, but didn't you see the poll? It's fixed in the story.
That's the best part.
Yeah, that's and that, I guess, really ties in with what I was saying about like everybody being excited to be in a special group chat. Is that like, if you make a poll and then like people that haven't, like, I don't know, just, hey, what does the poll say? Is it fixed or not? Like, so that's just like very scientific, right? And like, that's just kind of funny to me. Like, but the poll won. The poll says, community says it's fixed. So HDZero community, the poll voted that it's fixed. I don't know about you guys watching this little clip from Yvonne here, how y'all feel about it, but
yeah.
Funny.
So Funeral Green, this is our local guy, pretty cool guy. So he's asking, Ivan, have you tried different antennas, or are you still using Lumi stubbies for your testing? I'm using the same antennas, and like while I realize I can put like a patch, like, or good antennas on my drone, and then this problem goes away for that spot. But this is not the purpose of the test, right? The purpose of the test, then to make these goggles, you know, do weird things, I will have to just go further away, you know. Because like rapid fire performs good with these antennas on ORQA, and I had like sky zones before. It's good. I don't need to change the antennas, and you know, and like if I change antennas and put like better antennas, I don't think these antennas are bad. But if I like change these antennas and have better antennas, then you know the problem maybe will shift a little bit further away from me, but it will still be there. And like in the you know, like a tough race moment, it will show up and then makes me crash and, you know, break my stuff, and then I have to come and slap Neil. You know,
Me, huh?
yeah, I don't know.
This is like picking up a couple more comments from the chat. Daikon says, "What's happening, Daikon? Like he's just not into paying to beta test their product. Like lots of small issues.
That's fair
with setup and firmware. And I feel you there. Like I'm definitely a late adopter in a lot of stuff because like I'm just not into working through it all. Like I don't want it until it works, and I'm happy to keep using what I got that works until the new thing definitely works.
Yeah.
And if there's one more thing on my quad that I have to update firmware on, I'm not into it. If you're telling me that I got to update firmware on my VTX, and then maybe I don't know on my camera too, and like what I got to update my batteries firmware now,
and you need to read the release notes.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And it's not on the list, but that's why I just like lose my shit over ELRS. Like I feel like that's never ever in a release version. You know what I mean? Like it's just always in a place of having to screw around with it. But sorry, that's a little aside. But at least you're not paying anyone to be the beta tester. You're just like, it's inherent in the development of it that you are in fact a beta tester, alpha tester.
Alpha tester.
Yeah, like
before we get too deep in the go ahead.
Yeah, to make it a little bit fair, so I think like HDZero system with HDZero goggles works fairly good. And I think there are a couple of few little issues like OSD, like not all rows I saw updating, you know, but it's very, very minor. And like most of the people with HDZero goggles, they fly HDZero VTXs, and like they don't, you know, they don't really need analog. And so I sort of understand that. Yeah. What are you laughing? Something funny in the chat?
Just Amari. Yeah.
Says, Amari said, go ahead.
Oh boy, we're crapping on ELRS now. Let me grab my drink and settle in. Grab some popcorn.
I don't think we got time for that one penciled into this lobby. And to be biased, we need a knowledgeable ELRS user in here when we do that to like beat up on that everyone can hear.
Yeah,
that.
maybe because well, Johnny 5 flies Express LRS too.
Yeah, so
like he has both. We can
tackle that one.
Yeah, but also to make it fair, like I started flying Ghost.
I knew Dylan was gonna chop in. Go ahead.
Like I started flying Ghost only like a year after its official release. Also because of that, because I didn't really want to like, you know, having all the troubles. You know, do you remember like at the beginning of the Ghost days, you have to plug your quad after you plug your radio. Sometimes like disconnecting. And like some other issues, like I was just watching Cole, and I think I was watching Neil doing that. Like we're all making fun of like, you know, Ghost difficulties. Yeah. But so also, you know, so this is not something new in the hobby that, you know, you buy a product and then they make it gradually better. At least the fact that they make it gradually better is good. So you know, like if Carl watching, then I want to like, you know, not like I can encourage him. I think he's pretty encouraged by himself, but like, you know, keep working in this direction. Unfortunately, we cannot help. Like, I'm just too dumb to help with all that.
I think Carl needs to keep watching. I think he needs to keep working. I think Carl needs to keep listening to people like you, though, that are telling him that it's not working. If you only listen to the people that say it's working, that's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to listen to the people who say it's also not working. And then also, Carl, it's important to send me a pair of goggles. Like, I don't have any.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Look at that.
Too, so,
yeah.
Like, that's all. That's
Neil would find all the weak spots. Yeah. And Mr. Neil will soon have an HDZero quad because, you know, apparently MLDR sending Mr. Neil a quad to fly with me, you know, and that's going to be
for testing.
Yeah, for testing. Yeah, you see, Mr. Neil's better there. But you'll have to read the release notes for MLDR.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of notes.
It'll be 14 pages, I'm sure.
So far, I've read them and not been interested.
The release does.
So just checking it, like pulling it back around to the ELRS though. Daikon there said I knew he was gonna chime in, but very rightly so. ELRS just works for him. He never had any issues. Also, he's a network engineer, so like the wiki just makes sense. Like literally not a better written wiki out there. And like he was talking about that before. If you just read the directions, you'll make it. Like, and that really works for most people, but I struggle with directions. But
well, also Express LRS is like open source community project, you know, same as Betaflight. And you can say the same thing about Betaflight. Like Betaflight, I think since 4.4 is for sure like sort of like has a lot of weird like kind of issues. You know, this flight controller missing barometer, this flight controller missing that. But that's, you know, some of that goes on manufacturers that are not checking, you know, their flight controllers with a like new version of Betaflight, which I think they should, but they don't. And then it all relies on community because there's so much, you know, but it's just the same thing for Betaflight. Like Betaflight is always, you know, have some trouble here and there. Sometimes you need to do research here and there. And same for Express LRS. Like I don't fly Express LRS, but I assume if that's what you're talking about, I think it's kind of a normal, you know.
Yeah.
I think we need to step up the Scoville level here.
Make it spicy. Before we get too spicy though, just like big thanks to Kevin Turner in the super chat, $49.99. Like,
oh, wow.
Saying, you know, keeping up the good work for the chat. I really appreciate that, Kev.
Yeah, thank you.
Like,
Quad Dog.
We want to keep them coming, and like, we're happy to have you here and everybody here watching along. This has been fun.
Yeah. All right. So
okay,
unknown subject. So by the way, Mr. Unknown Subject in the chat. I don't know who is that. Like you see, he's by the way admin here in the chat, but I don't know who is that. But apparently he knows that Mr. Neil is big sexy. Like how he knows that.
Well, maybe if he's been to a race and I can think of a couple things. Like maybe he's just watching right now and just feeling that vibe. Like that could be it, and we could just stop there.
Yeah, all right.
But also,
and it looks like unknown subject might have access to your list.
Oh yeah, I think he does because he's like he's like ready for the next one already. We haven't even got there.
Yeah, he was asking about the next drama, and it's like our well, I think HDZero was a real drama, but this is like even more real drama. So we're gonna discuss why MiChan quit FPV racing. Did he quit FPV racing? You know, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Sean is the right guy to start, you know, explaining to Livestream what happened.
Oh man, so there was a big FAI race in Korea. Obviously MiChan was there, Evan was there, Jake Hammer there, obviously a bunch of the international pilots, June who's in South Korea as well, Min Jae. Sure, I'm missing a ton, but all the
shit pilot Wordna was there.
Oh, Killian, Wordna, yep. Tons of shit pilots.
Well, I guess all of them were shit pilots, but Wordna's just really taking it on stride. He made a really cool splash screen, by the way. We got to get that put up for somebody. He made a shit pilot splash screen.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope. Well,
that race kind of fell into the trap that a lot of drone races fall into, and that is it had to be held indoors. I don't know how it, if it had to, but it was in fact held indoors, and the video was literal dog shit. Like if you saw any of the DVR, it was pretty bad, way worse than Ice Storm. My understanding is pretty much everyone who was on HDZero abandoned it because of if you don't know, like multipathing is when you get that like swirly, rainbowy like interference. It's like your video receiver on analog is receiving the video signal like more than one time, but out of phase with itself. So the colors get all wonky and it gets like distorted, but you can still see. Well, with HDZero, when it gets super heavily multipath, then it just stops working. So there is a level to where HDZero just doesn't work in a high multipath environment. They might be fixing that. I don't really know, but
I think Carl says, or someone says that Carl has the plans to fix that somehow, like weird like filters. I don't know much about that, but maybe it will.
Unrelated, DJI handles multipathing like a champ. DJI looks beautiful in a high multipath environment, but
well, it just adds latency though. Like they're just saying, "Hey, hold on, we're not going to get the picture till we get the rest of it."
Yeah,
and so you just got to wait for it.
Got to decide what you want, right? But but no. So the video was pretty rough. So everyone had kind of switched over to analog, but then there was a little bit of like suspicious video situations, and we got some clips.
But, let's see.
MiChan.
So this is MiChan's clip flying. That now.
Let us know what you think in the chat. Was this like just a random interference, or is someone plugging in on him in that moment?
Yeah, so that's definitely in his post. What he alleged there, right, is like that it looked like it was being plugged in on right then, and that's like definitely the video wipes out and gets like really gone there at a very particular moment in the track.
Yeah.
I mean, not like, I mean, you definitely need to be able to see in all the moments, but coming over the top of a split S like that, like you just aren't lined up to the gate more than you aren't lined up in any other point. And I don't know, it's very suspicious. I've definitely heard of allegations like that before.
And I'm not certain what frequency set they were working on too. Like there's a chance that, you know, I know some people like to not really put a lot of effort into figuring out, you know, harmonic distortion, but there's a chance that two pilots, you know, they were pretty close to that track and it was kind of linear. He was at the back of the track. There was a chance that two pilots were, you know, were going through the timing gate right next to him on a channel that harmonically combined together to create his channel. You know, like, I mean, that's not unheard of. But definitely from his perspective, he thinks he got plugged in on. And that's a really
that's what Yosem says in the chat. Yosem says yes, straight up sabotage. And
it's really just gross, I guess, is all like that really comes to my mind when I think about that happening. You know, it's like, I don't know, you just got to ask, like, who would do that? You know, like, why would they do that? How would they do that?
I mean, how you stop people doing that if that's the case, you know?
That, and then that's the really hard part.
Joe asking in the chat, how often does that happen? I think MiChan told me it happened with him like multiple times, and it was happening always in the hard sections, because like MiChan is a pretty, like, you know, impressive racer. He can fly like for a second blindly, you know what I mean, just on the muscle memory, but not when it's a complicated section. And he said he got bad video in the complicated sections, like, so. And I think another little topic is that they have the policy of like not rerunning, or they didn't want to rerun, I don't know, but they didn't rerun races for him. And that's
FAI does a pretty good job of trying to stick to the rule book, but the rule book is kind of archaic in some ways.
Okay.
You know, they really agonize. It's like, you know, within the organizations, like there's people who's like, you know, it's their job to, you know, be the masters of the rules or whatever, and they take it pretty serious. But but still, it doesn't mean that the rules always get it right. You know.
Right.
And,
right. So, you know, I see some calls for like a rerun in the chat, you know, and that's like you're saying that's just like that's not really how they do it over there. They really stick to their rules. I think in MultiGP, I mean, it is very hard to get a rerun even in MultiGP, but I think something that blatant, you at least would be able to put a case up there. But you also saying, like, also remember that MCK has a lot of enemies over there, like, just because he's that good, and like, and he's not, and that's not wrong at all.
If you've seen you know, Johnny Five's kind of little mini doc from the Free Spec Costa Rica race, highlighting, you know, MiChan and his struggles of racing in his home country, like, it's legit. And it's sickening. I don't know of like solutions. You know, what do you do? Like, it's literally an unenforceable rule that's like a big deal. And like, I know MultiGP, I think they've like handed down some lifetime bans before. We were kind of talking the other day in our pregame, but if people have like specifically sabotaged a race, it's I think it's federally a crime to jam, to, you know, that's jamming according to the FCC, which we don't really want them involved in what we do at all, but like I think jamming is highly frowned upon too. So I mean, these are criminal actions and that kind of thing. The first instances I was ever aware of this kind of thing happening was in 2019 at the North American Masters. I remember I was like, I was spotting for Mondo, and I remember, you know, holy shit, like someone is literally plugging in on him, and like. This one was rough because there was like a bunch of people in the stands and they all got really bored and left because like the race organizers were struggling to get this event, you know, finished because, you know, literally someone was there. We're pretty certain. We're never able to prove it. There were some suspects, I had some back and forth with Scully after the fact. They were like, reviewing camera feeds and, if you don't know an RF Explorer, if it's plugged into a computer, it actually has like a timeline. So you can like rewind and see, where different like RF spikes would happen. And whoever was sabotaging this North American Masters race, like you would literally see their VTX jump through the band. So it was like they would turn it on and then like push the button, and it was like jumping channel to channel to channel.
Wow.
On the bands. And like I said, they never could prove it, but there are some pilots that I think, I never signed an NDA or anything, but I guarantee you there are some pilots that if they showed up at an event, MultiGP is going to be watching their hands pretty close.
Yeah,
if there starts being video issues. So
I mean, if like you said, it's hard to prove, but if you were able to really find somebody doing that, like at the very least, it's a lifetime ban from the sport. I mean, like that's just the grossest thing that you can do, right? I mean, I really think that.
Is it more gross than cheating with a firmware on Freedom Spec?
I would say it's very similar.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. I don't know. Probably worse in my mind, but I don't know. Yeah. That's interesting to think about. Like, I don't know. I just always say, look, you can't prove it, but I say this all the time. Cheaters go to hell. Like, and so like, yeah, okay, we can't prove it, but it's all going to come down at the end. And so that's, I don't know, like that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to say also, like, well, so MiChan said he's having a break, and of course, go check out his video. He's talking about that, like what he's going to do. And he doesn't know for how long he's taking a break. And, some people start making fun of him, like, oh, lost one race and just having a break. Making fun is fine. But I also wanted to add that, like knowing, like losing a race, we're all used to that, right? Like we like me, Sean, Neil, we lose race every time we go to a race, right?
I'm really good at it personally.
Yeah, I'm professional drone race loser.
Like, but also it's very tough to lose a race which you're the best pilot at. Like, people watching you, people expecting you to win, either expecting good in a good way or expecting in a bad way, like, oh, this is gonna win again, and it's very tough to lose a race in these conditions. And like, I've been there, not in the big races, but in local races, when I knew, like back in the days Neil was like, sucking, and like, so I was like ahead of everyone, and like we were doing races, and when I lose a race, it was very tough on me. Like when I qualify, like 5 seconds ahead of everyone, and then just because of the stupid rules, I just crashed. And one time I crashed. It was similar situation. Do you remember, Neil, like a school race when we had like a stadium?
Yep.
And I was faster than I think I qualified like faster than everyone. And then at the very final race, Mr. Nick, do you remember Nick? I forgot his last name. So he started flying his DJI quad only at the very last race, and I took off. And I just immediately lost the video. Like, it was already rough conditions because of the metal stadium, but I immediately lost the video. I didn't realize what was happening. And so when the race was over, like, and I think Chris took like the big trophy, like a first place big trophy. And after the fact, I see he's landing his DJI quad, and he was on 5G band, and that was very tough for me because I knew I'm gonna win, and also I lost because not because of not my fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure,
even losing because of your fault when you're the best, it's tough, but it's even tougher when you think it's not your fault. So
right.
Like,
that's really tough. I mean, and I can see how, I guess, all that to say, you could see how that was weighing on MiChan.
Yeah.
And then in all of it, that guy, he's the best in the world, not because he was born with it. Like, he's the best in the world because he's worked harder than anybody else in the world. Like, he's put in more time on his little field there. Like, we've all seen his DVR from there. Like, he just puts in, like, more time than anybody, flying all day, fixing all night, waking up first thing in the morning, doing it again, So anybody operating at that level is like in danger of really burning out and just dropping all of it. So I think it's important for somebody like that to take a break. And there's nothing wrong with taking a break and just like remembering like that you're doing it like because you love it. And then I saw Hyper right here. Look, MiChan will return, and somehow he's going to be even faster than before his break, and I believe that fully, because he's going to like really like remember why he's doing it, and he's going to come back with the fire lit under his. I'm really trying not to cuss, so he's going to come back with the fire lit underneath him.
Sean already said, I think he said fuck. I already said S. So like,
yeah. Oh, so y'all are in the lead. But shit doesn't count. We already said that. But yeah.
So by the way, Hyper in the chat, and I think like one of our next questions is about camera position, if it matters or not. So yeah, if you want to stay for that, yeah.
Speaking of cuss words.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit more like a funny drama story at that FAI race, because Evan got he was technically disqualified for 5 minutes in that race, and that's kind of like funny. Yeah, and let me bring this little clip here. The clip he was disqualified for. Where's my monitor? And this is. So you probably guys should be. All right, so you probably guys saw, you probably heard, it was too loud for me, that Evan did like a little whoa at the end of a good run, and the laugh you heard after, it's not the laugh in the actual race. He was laughing while filming that from his monitor, so he just did a little whoa, and apparently that was against the rules of FAI to do a little whoa and like celebrate, and he got disqualified for 5 minutes. And then in his video, like by the way, you can go check out his channel. He has a nice vlog about like all his racing, and in his video,
up and coming pilot.
Yeah, and FAI guys came to him, and they said that they were kind of nice, and they allowed him to keep racing, just like he shouldn't be doing it again. So that was interesting. I somewhat support that the screaming is not allowed, because sometimes you race, you're like very concentrated on something, and then someone next to you crashes and like starts dropping radio, but you're still flying. You know what I mean? Like you don't see anything around you, and that could be tough for pilots around you. But although I don't think that whoa was like a big deal too. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of saying bad words when I crash. So I would probably get disqualified. I thought it was most funny that at our GQ last weekend, you called out everyone for anything that they did that would have got them disqualified at FAI while they were sitting on the line.
Yeah, everyone would get disqualified.
Yeah, everyone was disqualified for sure.
Yeah.
So that was,
Even before Desert Red, he is always disqualified. Yeah.
Yeah, so Hyper's saying that he loves that rule, but he's glad that they gave him a warning.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a warning is a good call. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I find that a lot of the noise you hear in the pit line comes from like pilots that are not flying at that time. Like, especially when it gets down to the end of the race, when there's only 8 or 12 pilots left, and the other 40 or 50 guys are there just watching and gassed up to see it. Like, they're making more noise than the actual pilots themselves. And I know that at least MultiGP tries really hard to like control that, but it's really hard because I don't know, like I'm also one of those guys that's gassed up to see all my friends flying and doing well,
Yeah, I kind of think from the audience perspective, like as long as there's a reasonable buffer between like where the pilots are and where the quote unquote audience is, and let's say at IO, the audience are the other pilots.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of just part of it. You know what I mean? When you get on DRL and you're in Miami with 8,000 people screaming and you hear the audible whenever you hit something, like and I just know that from being a drone runner,
But that's different. I think that's a little bit different than like a pilot right next to you screaming.
Right. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. As long as there's an appropriate buffer, like I think it's important for them to be shielded. And then ultimately, like I kind of feel like vocally, I don't know. I think there should be like an ethics of it. Like I think it should be frowned upon to intentionally be like, you know, you're in a heat, and just go like, Neil, you know, like you shouldn't.
Oh no, you scared me.
Like, sorry.
Yeah. Well, see, there you go. Like it.
But
works.
the same type
That's
of thing,
a
like
good-
you shouldn't, like that should be frowned upon. But then again, like if you're flying and you screw up and you know, freak out, like I kind of think it's a little bit, to a certain degree, part of it. What I think should be protected for sure is your physical space. I think that if a pilot ever gets like bumped into or, you know, physically, you know, pushed or hit, like, I think that's, you know, reason for a rerun.
Mr. Neil,
I mean, that's pretty obvious, but
like, what do you think, Neil, about my physical protection? Like when I'm flying.
Yeah, well, definitely. You go watch all Yvonne's shorts, you can see that he's touched me in some appropriate ways while I was flying. That's for sure. But beyond that, I mean, I think it's very important not to, like it does, me personally, it doesn't bother me to hear people making like sound around me, because like I think that you just maybe I'm used to that, but it does bother me if something touches me. In fact, I lost a quad at a live stream because like something touched me, and like it caused me to try to like look down to see what was touching me, and like took my mind off of what I was doing for like a split second, and boom, it's gone, you know.
Yep.
And so and then, you know, so you're racing, I think for sure you need like, you know, we don't have it, but some like little velvet ropes around each pilot would be kind of nice. But yeah.
Mr. Shames, sorry I interrupted you. What did you want to say?
Oh no, I'm same.
Yeah, so let's just pick up the chat. See, Kevin Turner saying, yeah, he hates it when a pilot next to him screams and stomps off. It's so distracting.
It is.
Like, he doesn't mind hearing a cuss word, just don't want to get bumped or a major distraction. Yeah.
When I can think of the second, it was the first one I went to, but the what was that race called? MDX, the one in the cave. The stage that you flew on, like if you walked on it, like the whole thing would like shake.
Oh yeah,
you know. So like I was like having a horrific time flying there, and I remember I'd like crash, and so I would just like sit quietly in my seat. Like, I wouldn't even get up, you know. Like I think, I don't know. Audibly, I think is discussable. I think, you know, physically, you know, making contact or, you know, making movement that other people feel, I think that matters. Or like, just the ethics of like, you know, if you crash and you start shit talking another guy trying to make him crash, that would be really problematic.
Oh yeah, that's,
you know,
really
like
uncalled for.
But you know, pure emotion, I don't want it to be golf, you know, like
right.
Anyway, yeah, I think there's a nuance to it, I guess.
Yeah, so it seems like pilot, like chat consensus is somewhere around crowd noise is okay. Pilot next to you noise maybe should be like attempted to be dampened, I guess. Like as a pilot, we should just be like doing to others as you'd want them to do to you, right? And like you don't want somebody stomping off and
what
like,
about
screaming. So maybe we shouldn't.
What about a scenario where like Yvonne and like let's say you're at a real race, okay?
Yeah.
Like not to say the races aren't real, but it's not night spot. I'm talking like you and Yvonne have made the grade 8 at IO, right?
Yep.
And Yvonne's leading, and you're sitting next to him, and you're behind him, and you know that the you know, only one person advances.
Yeah.
And like, what about the ethics of you being like, I'm coming after you, Yvonne.
Oh,
like you better not like. I mean that's kind of mind games, but you're flying, right? Like
right. I mean, I think that like I've seen a lot of that, and like yeah, and it's not. It's fun. Like I don't know. like that's like
at the night spot, no question, right? Like
I mean, we talk
on the
all
table.
kind of shit there, but like but yeah, oh yeah, that's tough. Like
I like that. Like I do it sometimes, you know, and I was doing it with Drew, with Dreams, I'm sorry, with Dreams at Ice Race. Like I don't know, maybe it wasn't appropriate. At least I wasn't disqualified for that because because he didn't complain, but I did. Like I was like, I'm gonna get, and then a couple of curse words. Like, I'm gonna get you and a couple of curse words. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. And then we meet there, and he stayed alive and I didn't. So, but I enjoyed it. Like, I remember it's one of the races here locally. It was like me and two other guys. I forgot who was that. Like the fast guys, and we were just like flying every round together and just every round shit talking to each other. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw like Hyper mentioned that there was some like pilot interaction during live events this year on DRL, and we've seen that for sure, especially in the sim. We saw a lot of that in the sim events. So I mean, I guess the part of racing is a mind game completely. So I don't know that there's exactly anything wrong with that. I'd be curious what FAI says about that. Like, if you can't go woohoo, can you say like I can see you, I'm right behind you, don't mess up, like or
don't mess up is the worst thing to say. Don't mess up.
Yeah, don't mess up. Don't mess up. All you gotta do is finish. Yeah.
Oh man, that's the worst.
Yeah, that is the worst one. God. Yeah, Adrian's saying it can be a lot of fun, and it really is. So
yeah. All right, we're gonna move to next little drama question because this related to Shames, and I want to see full Shame's face on the live stream while he reading that.
Yeah, so Neil and Yvonne might have kicked my ass at the GQ this last weekend. I thought I was gonna have them, and then they ended up beating me by a lot, by so much that I actually made a list of 10 things that you could actually do in the same amount of time that they beat me by, because it's such a large number. But I better check. What's this stream rated? Is it X, R, PG-13? What's it rated?
I mean, we'll call it like in the range of PG-13 to R.
Okay. Well, I guess I only have 3 things then. And the time that they beat me by, you could blink, you could disarm your quad, and you could disarm. That's about it. That's how much they beat me by.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
if you check,
those are all like way below even PG-13.
Yeah. So if you check global leaderboard, so Mr. Neil beat me by like whatever, like point.
By whatever. It's like
0
gigantic.
to, yeah,
I can't even fit my hands in the frame as to how much I beat you by.
But this difference is not that gigantic, right? Between between Ivan and Sean, like, right?
No, it's
so,
really close. That's
yeah.
that's like right here. You and Sean is like this close, but me and you is like I might hurt myself trying to.
Yeah, the GQ leaderboard gets really toxic, doesn't it? I do want to point out that Spicy did beat all of your asses.
Oh yeah, thanks for that. I was hoping
the Spicy T. Dropping it here. Spicy,
right.
Spicy got us all. I was sitting next to him. I was in the heat. I kept joking with him because in the there was a double header GQ, and late in the day, he had put up a run that was like 3 1,000ths slower than mine, and that was his best so far. And I was like, and we had been kind of like staggering. I'd let Spicy like launch, and I'd launch like 2 or 3 seconds behind. And I was like, Spicy, I could start launching with you. Try to protect my position here, but I did. That would be a dick move.
So I also want to add that like the difference between Shames in Le Mans is like 300 milliseconds, and that's 300 keys PID loop update rates. Like, that's a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
I mean that's a third of a second. I'm just saying that's like.
But that's 300
sneeze.
That's 300 super clever calculations. You know what I mean? Like.
Just so much math can happen 300 times. Like,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that like Mr. Sean was flying RPM limiter. It's just like a special firmware thing that limits your RPM, which he thinks make him faster. But I think that RPM limiter makes him slower. So, and
I've been practicing with it off. Yeah, I've been trying to learn how to actually manage my throttle. That's my goal this week. So.
Yeah. Oh, this week I like it. You got new workout goals.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, I like you want to move to like Freedom Spec Street League or camera position?
Oh, buddy.
Or sock puppet memes, or I don't know. I kind of gave up all our next drama questions.
Yeah. Well,
maybe ask the chat. What do they want to? So
guys,
you got some choices.
Tell us next.
Yeah.
So we got Freedom Spec versus Street League drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got camera position on the drone drama.
Yeah.
And we have new sock puppet memes. And
maybe, could we put new sock puppet speculations in there too, in case? I mean,
that goes along with it.
Yeah, they go together. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, look, Mason's saying you better have some real hard data on the camera position.
Well, you better.
Yeah. Well,
I don't. Yeah.
I don't
know if we have that.
Yeah, we don't have that. But like the data is here. Look at that. Let me show. Let me show. There where the data is like right here. Yeah, the data is here. so apparently there was like a big talk that's going for like, I don't know, 2 years about like if camera position on your drone matters. And we're not talking about camera angle. We're talking about camera position. So like if this is your drone, right? Like some frames have camera here, a little bit in front. Some frames has camera like here above the prop line. Some frames even have like a camera behind, and apparently
or top middle too. Like
like middle or something like this. And like the question is, does that matter? Like, and this is a very tough question because I strongly think it doesn't matter. It just doesn't really, just no matter. Look at Neil, he's laughing. So because I was flying frames with like camera like behind, they're like metal frames back in the days. Then I moved to camera here. Then I fly drones with the camera here. I think it doesn't matter. But Mr. Mason Hyper, who is in the chat, and not to mention, he's number 3 now in the global leaderboard. So he's a pretty fast racer.
Fast. Shit pilot though. Just
although shit pilot, but he strongly thinks that camera position matters. And like my math, like, I don't know, we probably should have invited him for these discussions. Like, that'd be awesome. But that's a lot of buttons to click now. So, but maybe Sean, you can be attorney for Hyper here, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, my perspective is just primarily it's spicy because it's so hard to prove. Like you can't do a blind test because you're gonna see the props or you're not gonna see the props. So it's nearly impossible to actually test it. But unless a sim developer, we should have Sky. Sky could maybe do this with his sim. Sim, if you could turn off the to where you can't see the props or the drone at all, and then have us do time trials of different versions, or even if you could just, I guess, if you could fly every time you flip the switch, it gives you a different camera position, and then you try to guess which one it is.
But then Hyper would say, no, this is sim. You cannot simulate what I'm feeling because I'm such a fast racer, and sim is different, Hyper, do you think sim would be enough? Hyper, what do you think? Sim would be enough testing or no? Like if you hide props in the sim?
Well, like Mason, if you look at the chat here, Mason says he had to make MCK multiple mounts for the Kronos because he wanted the camera in a very particular spot. In the end, we moved the camera 5 millimeters and he was happy.
Well, I also gotta say,
seeing the props in a specific spot,
so is it that? Is it actually where the camera is, or is it where he's comfortable to see the props in relation to the camera, like where he wants the camera in the prop line? Like, I don't know.
So I have an interesting argument to add, Mr. Hyper. Listen, so very interesting argument to add. So apparently, like your real life camera in your head, right? Your eyes are your camera. They're changing through the day because at the beginning of the day, you're a little bit taller than at the end of the day. And you don't freaking notice the difference, right? That's what's happening. Like you're like this at the beginning of the day. This is your at the end of the day. Nothing freaking changes. Like it's just slightly, and like it's the same for drone. If your camera changes from this to this, like the picture doesn't change. But if you turn your camera, right, imagine you wake up with your eyeballs tilted up a little bit, like higher than you want, and then at the end of the day they start tilting good, and then that's way more rough. And I don't have the data with me, but when I was doing like a geometrical calculation of how much the picture is different between if you change the camera tilt 1 degree and you change the camera position by 10 millimeters. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the picture difference from just 1 degree change was bigger after 2 feet away from you already. So if you're looking at the obstacle 2 feet away from you, the picture difference is bigger if you change the camera angle than you change the camera position. And it's only 1 degree. And I doubt there is anyone that can feel 1 degree camera difference. It's just...
I don't know, like Daikon says in the chat, it's like saying that if you sit on the bumper of your car, there'd be no difference. Like, and that's interesting, like that you're driving a car and then you can take the camera and you put it in the driver's seat. Okay, here we are in the driver's seat of the car, right? And then now you want to take the camera and put it down on the bumper of the car, and you're saying that you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, well, so for the car, it's a little bit different because, for the car racing, like the car body position relative to, relative to the track is a little bit more important than, than for drones, because you're also comparing, right? You're also comparing the camera position the camera position here, or you put it like way up here, then maybe it's something different, right? But we're comparing just camera position here and here.
Yeah, and, well, I don't know. Like, I'll just say, like, Mason's saying that a lot of people have felt it. I know that for a very long time, I flew the Cast Machine Works America, which has this high top center camera position. It's very different than most other quads, and I was very used to that. And when I changed to like more traditional frames, like now I fly your Open Racer. It has a camera position very similar to most other frames, like down near the prop line. But I can remember a Champs in Florida when we were at like the one at the stadium, when we were inside the stadium, and then we had the track number 2 in the parking lot, and I was flying my Americas. And then something happened, and I had to switch to I had a backup of like a normal camera frame quad, and it just felt so different. And in my mind at the time, that I was thinking like, it's got to have something to do with where the camera is on the quad and the relation of how the quad like rotates around that position. And if you put it high in the center, the quad moves a different way around that position than if you put it down low. I don't know. It's like hard to describe, but that's kind of how I felt at the time.
Go ahead.
Well, quick question. So I'm curious, like, is your hypothesis that if we did this in the sim where you couldn't see the quad and you change the camera position, is your hypothesis that you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, or is the hypothesis that it wouldn't make a difference in your lap times, or both?
I think my point is that you wouldn't be able to feel the difference. And also, even if you do feel the difference, like you can get used to that in like one pack. It just doesn't matter, The same as 2 degrees camera difference. It just doesn't matter. Like you shouldn't be looking at the frames in perspective. Oh, this camera mount I don't like it, so I'm not gonna fly this frame. Like I think this is wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like, but then by saying that, you're then saying that it does make a difference, and it's a whole different argument to then say, oh, but you can get used to it. Like, yeah, you can get used to it. Like, you can get used to new rates or whatever you want. But like you're basically admitting that it does make a difference, and then making a point on top of it that it's not a very big difference, and you can get used to that. So
yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of funny.
So I just created a poll in our chat about camera position, if you guys go vote. So also interesting to think about that. Before you vote, imagine you have 2 cameras on your drone that are tilted equally. And you can switch between these 2 cameras, or like even record video from both of these cameras, but they're tilted the same, but different camera position. And you have, after you fly, you have 2 videos. Like, there will be practically no difference between these 2 videos, except you will see like different prop position and view. You know what I mean? And I think, and the only information you're getting from your camera, if you're a real pilot flying in the plane, you can feel the acceleration and rotating and all of this kind of stuff. But we're drone pilots, we don't feel all of that. Only information we're getting is our video. And then we need to compare only video picture that you see. And my point is 1 camera degree difference is more noticeable than camera position change by 10 millimeters. So yeah, go ahead and make a poll. I think it broke my chat, but yeah.
I voted, and then I also gave a $10 super chat to go toward the fund of having Sky develop a test. that we can all do in a sim.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
That would be fun. And then like it'd be neat if he had like a little game mode where like you go in and you arm 10 different times, and it's one of 2 different camera positions, and then you have to say if it's different or the same. That'd be fun.
All right, 70% people said it doesn't matter. Like, so I need. Matter? Oh, so sorry. 70% of people said yes, it matters.
Well, that's it. That proves
yes,
it. Then
yes,
actually,
it does.
Yeah, because poll,
okay, poll. Yeah, the poll.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
Thanks,
this
guys.
is scientific.
Thank you. We're done.
But hold on. I need to wait. Maybe a couple more guys will vote no, and then I'll end the poll, and like we're done. No, then camera position doesn't matter. Yeah.
Heads up, welcome to the chat.
Oh, heads up.
He wants to know how in the world, coming in late, how did we get on this topic? Well, we like accept a range of spicy topics from people throughout the week or leading up to the live stream, and then we discuss. So this will get onto the list.
We just discussed also FAI race and like the fact that you got disqualified for 5 minutes. So if you want to check it out later, then that's kind of fun. All right, I guess enough for camera position. We decided it doesn't matter, so we move on, right?
Yeah.
So the next
it does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Well, apparently it does.
Oh,
I voted yes. I voted yes.
Damn it! All right, disqualified. Yeah. So the next topic, a quick cover for FPV Sock Puppet, right? The memes from FPV Sock Puppet. Let me bring the monitor. So apparently the previous concern about FPV Sock Puppet, they didn't go rough on Street League. And we have a talk about Street League versus Freedom Spec coming in a little bit, if we have time for that. But apparently now they came kind of rough on Street League with a few of the memes. We still don't know who is that, although we have a few more guests. So.
I mean, now we kind of know where the Street League memes came from, though, right? Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, well, we can talk about that. I mean, I don't think so. I'm not a Street League hater. But yeah, all of these memes are made by me, and I send them to Sock Puppet. So
that's my favorite thing about Sock Puppet in the current rendition is that it's true that we are all the Sock Puppet just as much as the Sock Puppet's a Sock Puppet. I think me, Neil, and Yvonne, and everyone else has participated and contributed to the Sock Puppet. Like,
in some
I don't know who manages the account, but I've got memes on the Sock Puppet page. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah. And so apparently, I was thinking initially that if it's some of the Street League guys, maybe then they're not going to share the memes I made about Street League. Again, I'm not a Street League hater. Yeah. But, I don't know. But they shared these memes,
for Street League Day.
Yeah.
They shared them, but then the Street League admins, who we think are actually the Sock Puppet, would immediately make comments of "Oh, that's so silly."
Yeah, they're like, "Okay, here we go, boys. We're about to post these Sock Puppet, these Street League memes." Yeah. They all did comment on them very fast.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, is also related to a little bit of Freedom Spec versus Street League drama. So in case you guys don't know, Street League is a spec racing where everyone flies almost identical quads, and same props with some fancy RPM limiter, and you have to fly a pretty heavy drone. I think it's like 1,200. Yeah. Thank you, Neil. So that's pretty heavy drone, and most of the time, at least for the frame I picked, you have to add extra 1/4 of a kilogram on your drone of dead weight, and also because this drone is that's just my point of view. Maybe some people won't agree. Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Or giant chunks of lead.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah.
Sean got into smelting when he got deep in Street League.
I did, yeah. Street League turned me into the Mad Hatter making lead.
Yeah.
I'm dumber now, but my drone is very, very dense.
So, and I think that the initial idea and the current idea of Street League drones to make them slower, right? So everyone kind of flies slow, so it's easier to spectate, it's easier to comment, it's nicer to watch, and I agree with all that. And that's why you need to have your drones somewhat heavy to do that. But now we also have tools like RPM limiter to make your quad slower. And even before RPM limiter, we had tools like, motor output limit, throttle cap. So there's another choice, right? You can make your drone lighter, lower the spec, and then just add more RPM limit, and then you don't torture your batteries, you don't break your motors. It's funny, like the Street League guys all said that like I know which frame, you know, this sock puppet flies, and well, I fly this frame.
Did he just admit to being the sock puppet?
No, he said he knows which frame sock puppet flies, and I
yeah,
think he was
you're
talking
like, well,
about...
I fly this one.
yeah, like, and they're right. So I fly this frame, but the reason I made this meme is not because I break this frame. I haven't broken this frame, and we fly at nice spot. But on my first serious crash, I broke 2 motors, like, not this. Yeah, you see, like, this motor is broken, and you see I have a heavy protection, like, just, you know, it's not about how frame protects the motor, it's just how heavy the quad is. You crash, you break a motor.
Yeah,
And,
it's like just bigger impact.
yeah, and also you torture your batteries if you fly like a long track, and it all can be solved. But I think, you know, Sock Puppet answer for that, or Street League guys answer, because we think it's the same guy. They say that just heavier drone, they like how it flies more, like how it handles, you know, talking about, you know, pilots' feelings and what they can feel and what they can't.
Yeah,
maybe that could be a different game mode in Sky Sim, where you have a 700 kilogram drone at a certain weight to thrust ratio, and then you have a 12 or 1300 gram drone.
And I kind of agree that it might feel different in the air. You know, you can try to adjust your RPM limit so they feel kind of close, but they still will feel probably a little bit different. The question is it worth it? You know, torching your batteries and breaking your motors. Although if you fly over the grass, you're probably not gonna break your motors. But yeah, I don't know. That's why I made this meme.
League. You know, I participated in it all last season, or not all last season, but a good chunk of last season. Haven't got to do an official Street League race this year. Obviously, I dig what they're doing. I prefer Freedom Spec. I think like you know, there's some aspects of that I like better because I made it. You know, like I don't think that's a surprise, but I think Street League is doing some cool stuff. But you know, the big thing to me is I do think that the setup, even at this speed, is still very hard on a battery. Like that's you know, if you could lighten the whole thing up and keep it slow, then I think you could have a battery situation that just, you know, right now it's kind of, if you run a 90-second 2-minute heat with this setup, you know, with the motors at the RPM limit, at the weight, with the battery, like it's hard on the battery. The batteries come down angry. And that's something that we've done, you know, with Freedom Spec, running 6S, like it's not hard on the battery. Now you could run the battery too low, right? But that's probably going to be 3 minutes. Like that's going to be a 3-minute heat. But the amp draw that you're putting on the battery isn't very severe, you know? So, I mean, I guess I'm being kind of nice to Street League that like, I think they're doing cool stuff. So I should be like more spicy, but
be more spicy. Come on.
No, I mean, they're doing
we
cool
were here
stuff.
first. We were here first.
Yeah, no, the spiciest thing I got to say about Street League is like, is that all three of those guys say like, hey, we want to listen to what the community has to say. We're interested to input. We want to know, like, we want to, you know, we want to go along, you know. But like then like, okay, cool. Community says like 99% of the community says, hey, this weight's kind of ridiculous. Like we could just lower the weight and take away power, and like then we wouldn't need to arbitrarily add all this weight. And like, I just feel like I didn't hear anybody that isn't a Street League admin say, I don't want it. Like, I think the weight should go down. And like, well, the weight didn't change. Like we got a new rule set for this year and they left it the same. And so, you know,
besides all of that, they're also saying that they're not sock puppets. So, which is obviously not true as well. Right. So,
yeah, I mean, not obviously, but suspected to be untrue for sure.
Well, to get a little spicy, I guess, because I'm disappointing myself with how unspicy I am. You know, like I've kind of poked holes at or fun of like some of their format decisions. And that you know, that goes right into what you're saying. I mean, here's the thing: is people could have the same conversation about Freedom Spec.
Sure,
you get, you know, Amari and Chief in here to, you know, tell me what they don't like about Freedom Spec, which is fine. Like I gotta be thick-skinned and ready for that. But on the Street League side of things, like last season, you know, we were all maybe not all, but a lot of folks were like, hey, like this, the qualifying format's cool because you're heads up racing all day, but there's no drop round. So if you have one or two like unfortunate mid airs where someone hits you or you have a battery fail halfway through a heat, like that ruins your entire event. And the thing, like, that's sort of fine if you're just club racing with a spec, but like right now Street League they're doing like a handful of big events every year. So people are spending $1,000 to $2,000 to travel to, Minerva, Ohio, right? To stay in the middle of nowhere and like go to this event. Like they're spending money to travel to these events, and then to have like a good pilot, like their entire event be ruined by the second or third heat or the second or third round because they had some things go wrong. Like that's kind of a bummer. Like, so I think they would benefit by instituting some sort of drop round system. I don't know what that looks like. That's why like top 3 consecutive qualifying like makes a certain level of sense, or even if it's some other form of that. And then in the finals format, they do this thing, and I don't mind the semifinals where 4 pilots race and whoever wins moves on, and then the remaining 3 pilots race and whoever wins moves on again. Like that's kind of okay, because if the best pilot like fails in the first heat, like they get another chance at it, so that I think that's important in drone racing, is to have like an opportunity to come back if you have like,
I agree. Yeah.
If you in drone racing, like there's just a lot of things that can be out of your control, and there can be things that are in your control too. But I think like there should be a reasonable ability for the best pilot to win, even if something goes wrong. Right. And so that the semifinal format's kind of okay. But when they get to finals, that's where I have a huge issue with it. Essentially, whoever gets last place in each of the finals is eliminated.
In Street League, right?
In Street League, in Street League. And that's what I think is incompatible with drone racing is, because you can, like I said, I've said it several times now, but you can have things that go wrong that weren't necessarily your fault, but then now your event's over. I like formats in general that allow you to like have something go wrong in a heat, and then you can still come back and earn the win. And they've talked about instituting some sort of drop rounds in the qualifying, or doing what they call the contender format for their finals, but then they don't. And then that's where it gets like silly and frustrating. It's like, I thought, there's like this consensus here, but then nothing changes,
Mr. Sean is so spicy. Look at that.
I'm trying to, this is
good,
for you guys.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I hope that, Sky and Leadfingers and Jay Rice, like I really appreciate those guys. And I think that they're doing good things for the hobby. And I've said all of this to them in one.
You're not saying anything here that you wouldn't say their face. It's okay.
But yeah, I think that's ways that they can improve Street League, and we need to fight for that because we all want everything to be better, right? And
I think that was a lot spicier, so I need to unspice it a little bit because I wanted
of milk.
Yeah, because I also wanted to say that Street League guys are the guys, and Tanner in particular, the guys invented RPM limiter, which basically saved Freedom Spec for this season. This RPM limit is like very smart thing. It's kind of like it's very nice. It's simple, but it works, and like that's why it's so good, Yeah. And like they saved the Freedom Spec for this season. I appreciate that a lot. To all the Street League guys. Just some criticism too, right? Like what kind of criticism we have for Freedom Spec though, and like what is even Freedom Spec? In case some people doesn't know.
A lot of people miss, the fact that 3S. Oh, why can't we do 3S? And so. I mean, obviously, I only have the objection handling to it. I can't make their argument, but a lot of people are missing 3S. We did make it a little heavier, which you could say is arbitrarily a heavy. So it's like kind of the same thing as what's going on with Street League. I did it for the meme. Like that's the reason why we're heavier than we need to be. But if you don't know,
I would say like just as a participant, I was really wary of moving to 6S, and I really enjoyed what we had, but like in my Magic Wand world, we would just still have good 3S batteries, and then that's still what we would be doing. At least that's how I really felt in the beginning. Since I saw the racing, I guess I've changed a little bit to say that I do believe what we have now is closer than what we had before. That the RPM limiter takes away the variable of the battery like big time, and really, and like that the net gain of having it is that we have closer racing, and like if that's the number one covenant to have the best racing, then I feel like we've moved a step closer to that. I do know that for sure I have like damaged more gear in this year using 6S than I did in previous season using 3, but that may be that I took quads that I've been beaten up on for 2 seasons in 3S and then turn them into 6S, and then shortly thereafter they gave out. So I don't know. You know, those were definitely old beat up quads, but that's just definitely that's where I've. Those are my direct experiences.
In case you didn't know, guys, well, I guess like most of our chat should know, but some of the people probably don't know. So Freedom Spec is a spec racing that started. You take your regular 5-inch 6S drone and you just put 3S battery on it, which basically makes it 2 times less powerful, makes everyone somewhat equally slow. You know, everyone should run the same motors and props, and then it's a closed, slow racing. And it's nice because you're using your regular racing drone. But the problem started when then the battery matters a lot. If your 3S battery is new and it's a good 70C China hobby line, then you're way faster than everyone else. And also cheap batteries went out of stock for this season, and then we started looking like, well, what we're gonna do. And then Street League guys and Tanner invented RPM limiter, which I thought it's not gonna work, but it works, I think, pretty good. And yeah, that's where Freedom Spec is now. Now you put 6S battery, you just turn on RPM limiter in your OSD, and that one setting is the difference between your full speed 6S quad and Freedom Spec slow quad, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, but of course
there's some improvements like that we could do. Like it would be neat if, you know, when you crash, you don't get like full 6S crash recovery.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
You know, Chief brings up the teleportation that happens. You know, we could also dial back the weight to thrust ratio. You know, like you know, Amari brought up in the chat that we kind of lost the momentum conservation. You know, that you had to manage a little more on 3S, and you know, we could slow it down. You know, we're doing 18,000. We could try, you know, going slower.
And Street League has like a next level of RPM limit, which makes I just verified it with Tanner like a few days ago that they have like a limit for your average motor acceleration. So like you can turn fast if you're already like high throttle, you know, but if you're ramping up your throttle from 0 to 100, it limits that. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting to try to, you know, implement things. Ultimately, like our priority has just been the closeness of the performance of the machines. That's like, you know, when we're looking at the list of what our priorities are, that's the number one. And that's where I was just super confident in the RPM limiter. I think it brought the machines even closer, which wasn't super necessary, but it's definitely, you know, better. You know, what we ran into is we had these $10 3S batteries and they were all identical. If you got the 30C China hobby line, like very seldom did you get one that was like better or worse than another. And then people were like heating them up to stuff to get extra performance, but that was, you know, it could help or it could hurt in different ways. But the problem was those 30C batteries became hard to get. And then there were like some discrepancies of like, you could get the black ones that in some cases were the same batteries, but in other cases were like a different version of the same battery. And then the performance was all over the board. And so you'd get some that were like better, you'd get some that were worse. And the battery performance with the 3S spec was absolutely a battery spec. And so that wasn't going to be an option. And the only other option would be to identify a more premium 3S battery. And I didn't mind people buying $10 3S batteries, but I didn't want folks having to spend $25 on a 3S battery. I just felt like that was going too far and too far away. And so, you know, moving it to 6S and using the RPM limiter allows the majority, I know that there are some outliers, but it does allow the majority of pilots to run the same batteries that they already own and are already purchasing for their other setups. And the way we came up with that is we kind of took an average-ish 6S 5-inch drone and weighed it, and it was like 525 grams, and I thought that's way too close to 533 not to make it 533 grams. Like that was literally how we came up with that. So it's a little heavier than it needs to be, but that also kind of is more inclusive to more people to have it a little heavier, because then you got, you know, folks that maybe aren't on the cutting edge, which I guess like some guys with a 1,400 mile pack and their super light builds are probably closer to 500, but I think it's important to be it's easier to add weight than lose weight, I guess. So anyway, that's the rundown there.
There we have it. I like it.
That's my objection handling.
I just noticed that Mr. Hyper is in the main page of freedomspec.com.
Yeah.
Which,
he won the first Freedom Spec event, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Or was it the second one?
The second champs.
Second champs, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So we got. I'm a little bit disappointing that like this is a very heavy drone racing, not just general FPV, live stream. But I think that's fine. So we'll try.
Just gotta get some of our non-race peeps out there to suggest some good
please go ahead, hit me up on Facebook, Discord. I'm in Betaflight Discord, you can find by Limon. Hit me on Facebook, on YouTube, in the comments under this video. I'm reading all of the comments, by the way, under every one of my videos, just all the comments. I read all of them, not missing even a single comment. So you can leave your question, especially under this live stream, and then we will cover that. But we have some questions scheduled for the live stream that are not about drone racing. I'm excited about that. Not gonna discover them for now. So yeah, make sure to join us for the next live stream. But we're not done yet, right? Because Mr. Neil, you wanted to cover something.
we got some new shit pilot drops today. Ooh, it's kind of like a nice we dropped some for the last one, so we had some good stuff working that finished up, and so wanted to go ahead and drop them now. So we had two drops there.
I'm not gonna zoom this one. I will let people go ahead because you can see drone pilot, but if you look carefully, you might see some stuff there. So I'm not gonna zoom it in for live stream. You gotta go ahead and check it out. Also, this is a pretty cool drop. Shitpilot.com, and then it goes to this link after you go to shitpilot.com without spaces. And then we got this new drop. I think I can zoom this one in. I think this is cool.
Yeah, this one's fun. So this is our sock puppet most wanted, and this one's really good. I got to thank Jay Rice for helping put this together. This is our first two-sided.
You mean the Jay Rice sock puppet?
Yeah, potentially. Like he did whip out that graphic really fast. He was able to find it just randomly on the internet.
He was ready, huh?
Yeah. So so that's our next two drops right now. And it's really cool. Now I'm excited to say that if you look at our store, you have to scroll down to be able to see all of the products. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about both of these drops. I see that somebody was asking in the chat, what about the shirt that I'm wearing? And this is one of my first samples. And I don't know, I do have it ready to drop, just haven't done it yet. If anybody's really fired up about a CAC shirt, we can get that going in one of the close future drops for sure. I believe that we do ship to Europe. It's all through the store. We'd have to see how that goes, but I do believe I saw some very French names order shirts. I'll say that doesn't mean they're from France, but they were very French names.
And I think that
Pierre, was it Pierre?
Yeah.
Pierre, what are some other French names?
Jean.
Yeah, there were some good ones. And then we got another special drop coming for IO, so I'm really excited about that. And that should be cool. So everybody go check it out, shippilot.com. I just got to say again, I really appreciate all the support from everybody on our first drops. Definitely the shit pilot toggle is super popular, and we already saw a bunch of them out in the wild for the last
and if you get some, make sure you share on on social media and like tag shit pilot on Instagram, or just tag Neil or me, or there's like a little shit pilot page on Facebook too. Tag us and hashtag shit pilot. That's
Hey, so I'm literally in the process. I'm gonna order some of these wanted shirts. How are the sizes pretty standard? Like if I'm normally a 3X,
for the
am I a 3X?
t-shirt, I feel like it's pretty good. So
Yeah.
the last stream, I was wearing a t-shirt that I ordered a size up, and I felt like it was a little too big. And this is one that I ordered that is my normal size, and I feel like it's appropriate. This t-shirt.
Nice.
For the sweatshirt though, I ordered a size up for the sweatshirt, and I was glad that I did. Like
there is in case you're interested, there is like a size and fabric info right here. You can click, and there's like all the sizes with like, so you can see the exact dimensions of the stuff you're ordering. Yeah.
So yeah, everybody go check them out close, because like both of them, if you look at the Drone Pilot one, there's some stuff to see up close that makes it really cool. And same way if with the wanted poster for the sock puppet, like there's a lot of little I don't know, the whole thing is funny, but you just got to be able to look up close to see it.
I haven't seen them myself. Yeah.
Well, the neat thing is that like that one you guys were doing in Discord, and I even got to contribute with some different like plays on words and stuff. It was so
totally
much fun.
It was a total group build in Discord just last night, I think, or the night before. So it's like
good job.
Yeah, that was fun.
And so our sort of a last topic, I guess we want to cover. I want to finish on positive note, because we're like grumping like little, I don't know, like pieces of shit. I just said shit. Well, shit is okay to say. So we're like grumping about like Street League and all this stuff, but I want to finish on positive note, and that's IO planning, right? I am very excited about IO. In case you didn't know, this is MultiGP.com, and this is like a giant drone racing and freestyle camp, which lasts for like 5 days. It's beginning of this month, end of this month and beginning of next month in Muncie, Indiana. And there will be a lot of cool people there. For example, there will be Vladka from ORQA. And if you want to try to hear some spicy stories about how all this breaking happened, I'm not sure if he's gonna tell you, right? But you can try to catch him and, just like, hey, Vladka, just tell me everything you know about this story, and
tell me everything.
And maybe after a couple of beers in the evening, he'll be able to tell them to you. And of course, they will be Mr. Nice. You can like come to him and say, hey, let me call my expert, and then like I don't know, something.
I'll answer.
There will be shames, of course. I hope MiChan will be there, even though he said so far he's not gonna come to IO. But I hope MiChan, if you're watching, just let me bring my big screen. MiChan, if you're watching, we're expecting you there. Neil, make an
expecting
you. Make an angry face now, Neil. To MiChan, like this.
Come on.
No, Sean. This is Sean's angry. Sean is always angry. So, yeah, there will be. Yeah, and so what's the preparations for IO? What's the planning? How you prepare, guys?
Oh man, well, IO is definitely my favorite event of the year. I always tell people, if I'm lucky enough to get to travel to several races of the year, so I'm really blessed to be able to do that. But if I was forced to only choose one event to travel to in a season, I would go to IO. Like, I think it's the best event of the year to go to. You definitely get the most bang for your buck out of traveling there. Like, it is an amazing place to be when you get in that field. Like, it's just like the vibe there with everyone on site for so much time, like flying all day, like hanging out and partying all night. Like, it really is just the best event there is. And so, like, yeah, I'm really excited to be going back. As far as planning goes, like we booked early and got ourselves an RV spot. In fact, we're all kind of neighbors. Sean's 2 sites over from us, and Chief and Free are right next to us. So we have like a nice little HOA like area there. So that's pretty dope. And like, yeah, you just make sure you got quads, make sure you got all your party supplies, make sure you got something to eat, and a couple changes of clothes, and then have a good time.
Yeah, and so go ahead, Shane. Sorry.
No, I just did some preparation. I made sure I'm gonna have a sock puppet wanted dead or HV charged shirt. I'm gonna
hell yeah.
I'll make sure I can wear that. I literally put it in the order while saying
nice.
But, Yeah, no, it's gonna be cool. I'm taking Callie, and we've got my little drone racing like trailer camper thing. That's like it's a cargo trailer. It's like the size. It's got bunk beds in it and an air conditioner. It's like
Nice.
just a spot that's cold to sleep. So that's it. But I'm kind of waiting. A little rumor that batteries are going to be in stock at 533 very soon. So I got to get a battery order in, and then
Oh yeah.
Callie and I each have about 3 drones right now. I'm also waiting on them to get some frames in, and so I told Christy the other day, it's like I can be placing a pretty big pre-IO order here.
I got work to do myself.
Yeah, I would like to go with maybe like 6 drones for me and 4 for Callie, and then some parts, and obviously there'll be some stores there, Mondo and Evan for sure, to be able to get some parts. But I feel like that's a pretty good starting point. If you haven't been to IO, definitely like take a fleet. You don't want to show up with 1 or 2 quads. I mean, you could still have fun and bring no quads. I'll put that out there. It's we joke around that IO is FPV's Holy Week, but yeah, if you're planning to try to compete, you need probably a minimum like 6-ish drones. Like I feel good about bringing 6 because I could also steal Callie's if I needed them, and then I'm okay with her taking 4 because if she's in an event and needs a drone, like that's the beautiful thing about Ghost is we just bind it up and send it. But anyway, yeah,
Mr. UAV Tech in the chat, and I think he's in the list of being number 1 that have to go to IO, right? So like IO in 1 month, Mr. UAV Tech. Looking forward to see in person, right?
Yep.
Now you have no choice. Yeah. My preparations for IO, nothing happened yet. I have 1 drone running so far. It's like I need to like fix 3 more drones, and I need to fix this giant street league drone. Looking forward for that, but that's a lot of work to prepare. But I'm gonna say the one again. There is also a freestyle spot, which is pretty dope. I don't
the
think
whoop tent. Yeah, Double A says bring a whoop. Yeah, like Jesse Perkins builds a nightclub, a legit nightclub gets built on the field of IO. And it is an amazing party and goes on all night. I can remember some IOs when the world, because they set it up right next to the World Cup track, the main stage they call it now. And practice for that track starts at 8 a.m. And I can remember hearing stories that they had to ask the Tiny Whoop tent to finally shut it down because it's now 8 a.m. and they have to stop flying the whoops from last night because we need to fly 5-inch quads. The World Cup track is open. So you can definitely fly there as much as you want. And it's a good time. It's a really good time.
Yeah. Everyone come to IO, and like I think it's every year at least like 300 pilots there, like multiple tracks and freestyle spots and like tiny whoops and party hard.
Yeah, I think it's technically 1 more track this year than last year too.
Yep,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's exciting. So,
cool.
Well, it was awesome having you on, Sean. Like,
dude, thank you
to
guys.
have you here for sure.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for joining. I think it was fun. It was way easier. Well, on my side, even though I had to click all these buttons to switch sceneries, but online is way easier for me, of course.
Yeah, well, I want to know from everybody here. So I definitely was like sort of poo-pooing the online idea because I really like the vibe of like us being on the couch together. I really felt that like it was strong. It was very cool. So I want to know from the chat, like, what do you guys think? Definitely, it makes sense that we can bring in people from all over in this online format. Maybe we can do some sort of hybrid format in the future. Or are y'all good with this? Or do you miss us being on the couch together? Like, I'm just curious anyone's opinion on that for sure.
Neil just likes couches.
It was awesome. Yeah, it is. I do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let us know. I don't know, in the comments under this video, because we're about to shut down this live stream. Thank you very much for all the super chats. I don't think we missed any questions from super chats. It was mostly thank you. And we got $10. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. It was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.
All right.
Peace.
Later.